boys just don't wanna have fun. Cause boys just don't wanna have fun. Masculine cards can make you want to pull your hair out sometimes. I've heard you. Now, a lot of you think that when you have to make masculine cards, you've got to incorporate something like fishing or golfing or grilling or steaks or meat or whatever, but you don't have to do that. So I've got some fun designs for you today that are masculine themed, easy to mass produce and create over and over again. But I also decided to double challenge myself because I'm teaming up with my friend Ardyth and Justine, and we're all trying to figure out ways to incorporate that elusive white space into our designs. That can also be intimidating, having all this white space peeking in, or is it too much, is it too little, whatever. So I've double challenged myself. That's what we're doing today. Let's get to it. All right, masculine cards, keeping white as the dominant color. Let's do it. This is a buffalo plaid die cut I have. I ran it through my die cutting machine with white cardstock and navy blue. I'm going to use the white cardstock as the predominant piece, so I am poking out all of the pieces, whacking it on my desk, using tweezers, pushing out all those pieces. Not all of them come out. I don't care. I got lazy, but I think it ties together with the design nicely. Adding some glue on the back of that die cut piece, and then I'm going to adhere it down to this white card panel. All right, and then I've got that other piece to the right there, the navy blue piece. And here I am going to inlay a couple of squares. This is why I love this glue right here. I missed gluing it so I can use that precision tip and get up under there and get that glue there. And it goes on white, dries completely clear, so when it oozes out the side, it doesn't show. This is the only glue I use now. I got rid of all my glue runners. Bye-bye. All right, so here I am just strategically pasting some of these squares to create this really fun geometric background. Now I have that blue piece I can use for a totally separate card and more squares, and I've got the white squares from the white piece we did, so I can actually just invert the colors and create a second card just like this. But here's a look at that finished card. Super easy. That sentiment strip came out of my magic mug, and I did ink blend a little bit of blue around the edges there. Now let's take a look at textured embossing paste. I'm going to go ahead and tell you this is my favorite card. I'm using a stencil from Joggles designed by Keren Tamir and just laying that over a piece of navy blue cardstock. This is some white embossing paste. I've had this forever. It came with me from Florida, so that's like 5-6 years ago. And then I had it there for God knows how long, because it's old. Works like a charm, baby. So I'm just blending that paste right through that stencil. And then I'll lift up the stencil. If you do use embossing paste on your stencils, do wash them off quickly or keep them in a bin of water or something. Don't let the paste dry on your stencils or your brush because it's hard to get off. So then I've got some embossing paste, and I'm basically taking little pinches of it like you would salt if you were like salting something in the kitchen, and just sprinkling on that wet embossing paste. Then I'll take my heat tool and dry it, and that will activate the paste and get it all melted. It is so cute, all that texture from the embossing powder against the embossing paste. How cool is this? So I was able to incorporate white into this masculine design simply by using some white embossing paste through a stencil. But that embossing powder tied everything together. I think this is so stinking cool. And again, that sentiment came from my magic mug. Wood planks. That screams masculine to me. So this is a piece of white cardstock. I've got a scoring tool here and a little stylus, and I'm just pressing or scoring lines at every ½ inch. And then I've got, voila, wooden planks. Now you can do this on any colored cardstock you want. Since I'm trying to use white in all of my cards, obviously I'm going with white. I am going to take a little bit of blue ink. You'll see me do this in just a second, but I'm being very light-handed and adding a little bit of blue ink with that tool right over my embossed lines there, and that really pulls everything together. And then I've got some brown ink on that blending tool, really making a nice masculine background there. And you can mass produce those things like there's no tomorrow and incorporate different color schemes if you want. So fun. Then I ran that through my die cutting machine, this mandala die, this ginormous mandala die. I simply kind of taped the two pieces together and ran that through my die cutting machine. And then I get the fun part of poking out all these pieces. So I'll fast forward this. I whack it, I flick it, I do all kinds of stuff to get those pieces out. But once it's out, now I've got a beautiful mandala that I can use for a couple cards, actually 3 cards total. So here I am going in with that blue Juniper Mist ink and being very heavy-handed on that card. I just wanted to leave it light, so you can, if you're not into color or whatever, you want to keep it very muted, you can. But here I am. I'm going in heavy-handed. I think it looks a lot better with the white die cut piece there to have very intense color on that background. Then got my glue, adding little dots all over the back, and then I'm only going to put half of that mandala onto, that is a mandala, yeah it is, onto that scored wood plank background there. I'll glue that down. I apply a little bit of pressure just to make sure it sticks. This glue is super strong. Then I'm going to cut off the excess, but I'll keep that other half of that mandala die because we'll use it again. So when you're done here with this piece, look at that. Look at, I think it's so cool. And that's how I use my glue all the time. I miss pieces and I just use that tip. Oh, I love the glue. Anyway, this is not a glue video. Moving on. So I just added a little sentiment. All these sentiments came out of my magic mug. If you don't know what that is, I'll put an info card right on the right hand top corner or in the description below. And here's a look at another version using the other half of that mandala with just a brown muted background. And then you can actually turn that mandala die cut into a stencil. So I did go ahead and run that through my die cutting machine again. And here I am using it as a stencil. So I'm taking that same blue ink and just blending right through it to create a beautiful partially stenciled background here. You can be as heavy-handed as you want. And again, this is something easy to mass produce. You can use different colors if you want. But since white, I'm using white in every card predominantly, I left it as is. So look at this. Done and done, so easy. All right, moving on. Let's do a little bit of swinking with your embossing pad here. What? You don't know what swinking is? I got a video up here in the info card on the right, and I'll also link it in the description below as well. But after I added the embossing pad, I am just going to sprinkle on that same embossing powder I used for the second card onto this background here. And I'm really coating this baby. But if you find it's too much or whatever, you can take a dry brush and kind of swipe some of it away if you want. If you find that you swipe too much away, like I don't want those brush strokes, I think that looks silly. So I can go back in and add the powder. As long as your embossing pad is dry, not dry. Hello, don't let it be dry. As long as your embossing ink is still wet, the powder will stick, which is why I like the Wow embossing pad. It gives you more wiggle room because it's slow to dry. So then I'll heat set that. It just looks like this cool copper background. And I just dig it. I dig it. And this card, you know, adhere a die cut or whatever you want to do, sentiment, whatever. Keep it easy. But I think that's a really fun masculine background there. And let's strip it. Don't be offended. Just kidding. I'm using some strips here. I keep these strips in a little envelope, I mean, what do you call this, little baggie, whatever, and they're in there. They've been in there for years. So I'm going to pull out some colors that I feel are masculine, and I'm just going to glue them down to this little white piece of scratch cardstock that I cut down to fit my 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card front. And I am just adding these strips in no particular order. I'm not trying to create a color pattern here or anything. It's completely random, a no-brainer. And then just cut off the excess that's hanging off, and then I am going to actually use some of that foam dimensional tape, which is the only other kind of tape I now have in my craft room, to pop that up at the bottom. And then going into my magic mug again, which is where I keep all my die cuts, sentiments, whatever things I've previously stamped. I keep them in a big magic mug, which is what I call it. And it made pulling all these cards together very easy because I just reached into what was in that mug and was able to create things. So I had this cute little dog and glasses, and then I stamped a sentiment. And how cute is this little card? I mean, seriously, hello there. Ooh, I hope you like these masculine cards, using white in all of them. I am collabing with Justine and Ardyth, so their videos are linked right here. Check them out. Lord knows what fun they have in store for you. And Sadie says, have a good day. Woof. Woof. Thanks for watching.